Hey Casper Warriors! Today we are finishing what we started on January 1, 2026. A brilliant way to beat the Sicilian defense, precisely the French Sicilian and the Taimanov. We all know how annoying the Sicilian defense can be, let's be honest, especially if your opponent plays pawn to e6, cause they are no match tricks and there's no fast way of beating this, but maybe I'm going to prove you wrong in today's video. One of the cool traps I remember in the French Sicilian is where we go d4 and after pawn takes we go knight takes, and if black plays s6, which is the current defense first, we go knight c3, and after knight c6, the Taimanov variation, that's when we go bishop f4. Look at this, there's a way we can win black's queen in less than 10 moves if they are not careful. For example, if black plays something like knight e7 here, which they oftentimes do you know that you can actually sacrifice your d knight like this? Yes. Point is, if pawn takes, again you just take back, nothing wrong. And if they try to go pawn to d5, there's actually a way you can trap their queen and win it, and that's only if you play bishop c7. This is a cold-blooded move which wins the queen like this. There's nothing much black can do, but of course you won't see advanced Sicilian players falling for that, which is why I want you guys to pay attention and learn from what I'm going to be doing in the following games. And just a friendly reminder, all of my courses are still on promotion. Yes, you still get 50% discount on all of them. That is, you will get a discount of 50% when you purchase any of my courses. Right. Okay, let's try to play this. Here we see the French Sicilian. So let's go d4. So I'm following everything that I covered in my last tutorial video on the Taimanov defense. This is called the Taimanov, by the way, but I'll expect to see pawn to s6. Let's go. Yeah, for now, let's go. Not bishop f4. Let's go knight c3 before playing bishop a4. This is the typical line in the Taimanov. We attack the queen, and that's exactly what they do, by the way. So my opponent clearly knows a bit of theory. What can I do to take them out of theory? S6 is coming. Let's play this move deliberately. So I intend to give a check. By the way, here is why my opponent sacrificed their queen. There was nothing much to do. First, I was attacking that rook, and if king that, I had check or something in those lines. Okay, so we'll analyze that later to see where my opponent went wrong. But if you want to know more about this, feel free to watch the video that I published on the Sicilian defense like 2 days or 3 days ago. Not too sure. So my opponent is just down a queen, and I do not understand why they are not resigning. I have bishop takes on the next move. In fact, I'll play g4, g5. Just to finish off this fella very quickly. G5 is coming. Or maybe I should have taken, but I saw that very late. I just want to kill this guy very quickly because he doesn't want to resign. Technically, the game is over. Queen goes, bro. So I'll analyze this game later on just to see where my opponent went wrong, because I'm not fully convinced this is how the game was supposed to go. I guess they just made a mistake or something like that. So I won't take credit for it too early. The idea is to give a check, by the way. And I intend to sacrifice my rook on h6 someday. Okay, let me play this tricky move. I'm going to sacrifice my rook at an expense of the bishop. So I just want a free bishop there. Okay, what is this? Yep, so the game was already done. Let's just go through a bit of theory just to see where my opponent went wrong, probably. Okay, so here we are. On move number 7, I played bishop e3, and after pawn to a6, I sacrificed that knight. It turns out Stockfish kinda agrees to my decision, cause evaluation is about negative 0.3, which is as good as starting a new game. See, my opponent took here, so this wasn't a blunder after all. My opponent took and I took back. This is how the theory goes. In fact, you can see with your own eyeballs here, I just found some games in the Masters database, which means this line has been played before in over the board games. Like Masters have played this before. That's what this means. But anywho, after bishop b4 check, I played c3 accordingly, and after bishop f5, this is all theory, and I did not know about this, to be honest. I played knight c7 check. Oh, my opponent played the theoretical move queen takes to sacrifice the queen. So my thinking was, if king f8 was played, I was simply going to take the rook. That's what I said in the stream, or something like, queen d6 check first, but this is the right thing to do. And after queen takes, that's when you go queen d6 check. If knight e7, you simply go queen a3. The idea is to play pawn to b4, pinning the bishop or trapping the bishop like that. Queen b8, then bishop takes. So at the end of the day, I was still going to get back my piece. Great stuff. And what if black played queen e7? Well, I was still going to play bishop c5 check, and the only move, king d8, only sensible move, by the way, king d8. I was going to take the rook, and after queen takes, even better was to go queen g4 to attack the g7 pawn. If pawn to g6, I was then going to play something like queen f4, trying to capture that, f6, queen d6. The whole idea is to make black's position become super passive. You can see all the pieces are behind. There's nothing much going on. Even if they play something like knight e7 here, I can just go back. All these pieces are out of the game. By the way, if you think I'm just dreaming, you can check the eval bar for yourselves. Position is 0.0, if not white having a slight advantage. This is all theory, and it's not something I can cover in this short video. That's why we have courses. But anyways, it is what it is. Let's do this. Oh, there we see the Sicilian defense. I don't know what that is, but let's go d4, knight takes. And this is the Taimanov Sicilian, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, with the pawn on e6. Another move that I'm expecting to see is pawn to s6. Okay, so we are in the Taimanov right now. I'm thinking about this move, bishop f4, but this should only be played after knight c3. So next, bishop that, yep. Black can't play pawn to e5 due to knight takes. That'll be a sheer waste of time for them. And I'll just be up a pawn for nothing. Yeah, knight f6. The whole idea, by the way, with bishop f4, we just intend to push pawn to e5. That's all. So the common move here is d6. At least that's what most people do. And from here, do I remember my theory? I think you can take if you want. Yep. You can take and then start playing chess from there. You can even play pawn to e5 after taking. Nope. Or something like that. You guys need to watch my tutorial video on the Taimanov. It's a very fantastic lesson. After knight f6, just go pawn to e5. No two ways about it. Yep. That knight had no any wonderful square. And what did I recommend here? It's not good to memorize these things. Thinking if I should take. Okay, now I have enough time to play a3, stopping bishop that. Yep. And I guess here I can play knight b3 and knight e4. Knight e4 is actually the move, but let me just put my king to safety. Let's get rid of that. I still have knight e4. But first, let's go queen g4 for now. I'll pin the knight if black won't be careful. Let's defend the pawn in advance. And all there's that. So the idea is to play knight de4. So at this point, I'm on my own and just trying to figure out what I should do. Probably the rook could die. Do I have check? Or I should just eat the rook? Yep. It's game over for black. So if you want to know more about these kinds of tricks, just watch my video on the Taimanov. You will be blessed. Let's attack like that. I'm not really convinced that I'm okay, but we'll see where this goes. We'll see where this will go and how far I can go defending. So I'm attacking the bishop. I also want to take. Maybe I'll lose on time or something. I'm not sure. ready to sacrifice the bishop. Sacrifice the rook. Yep, this is checkmate. But okay, so I almost messed up in the middle game, but I guess you guys now have an idea how to beat the Sicilian defense, precisely the Taimanov Sicilian. By the way, in case you missed the theory part of this, let me just run you through very quickly. After e4, c5, knight f3, black may also start with pawn to e6. We saw that in the game, my opponent started with knight c6. But here is the main line. If they start with the French Sicilian, this is when you can go d4, and after pawn takes and knight takes, here's what I said. s6 is known as the Khan Sicilian. Knight f6 is known as the Scheveningen Sicilian or the Scheveningen variation, and knight c6 is what is called the Taimanov. And what my opponent did was perfect. Here we play bishop f4 as I stated earlier. The whole idea with bishop f4 is to play pawn to e5 and gain more central space. The common move here is pawn to d6, but my opponent played knight f6. So if d6, what I said was you can just go ahead and take. Yep, I remember saying this in the video. After taking, then just play normal chess from here. You can go queen d2 and castle long, or play bishop c4 on the next move and castle short, all up to you. But the whole idea with queen d2 is to provoke pawn to e5. This is where I ended in my tutorial video, and this is the whole reason of playing this, by the way, just to provoke pawn to e5. If they don't play that for some reason, say knight f6, you can just castle long. It's not much of a stretch. It's not like you're going to get mated or something. In the near future, you have knight a4 to protect your pawn on b2, and that in one way or another, black will still play pawn to e5. If they play bishop e7 or something like that, you know, in this position, you can even take on d6. And there's nothing they can do. I mean, that's just a free pawn. So they have to do something about this. If pawn to d5, you can take, all up to you, or play pawn to f3 in order to be safe. But I love this idea of sacrificing my pawn on g4. You see, the point is after knight takes, we always have rook g1. This is always great. If the knight goes back, now you can play pawn to e5 or h4, you just become aggressive. That's the whole point. So we call that a clearance sacrifice to prevent black from developing their dark squared bishop, because we're going to take on g7, right? Apart from pawn to h4, bishop e5 also works. By the way, what I'm showing you right now is 100% theory. These are not my ideas. This is what grandmasters study and play. So bishop e5. Again, if bishop e7, you can simply take. There's nothing much black can do in this position. Say bishop b7, we have time to play king b1, even pawn to f4 here works. For example, pawn to f4. If d4 anytime, by the way, don't be stingy with your queen. Just take. You can take with your queen like that. There's even another beautiful trap in this position. After that and this, you can actually take on c3. I mean, this is an attack on the queen. For example, if queen b6, now you have bishop takes, and after that, you go queen takes f6. So all up to you to choose which variation you want. And what did I say? If black plays knight f6, like what my opponent played, just go pawn to e5. They can't play knight d5. I mean, they will have a terrible pawn structure on the center like that. Look, and just never think of taking that knight, because you're going to help them to fix their pawn structure. You want to enter the end game like this. So in this case, you can play other moves like queen d2. You just concentrate on other things. In the near future, you have knight f5. The whole reason of playing queen d2 is to castle long and start pawn storming on the king side. You want to open up with pawn to g4 in most cases. Say bishop c5. Now this is when you play knight f5. If castle short, you castle long. You will never go wrong by doing this. Pawn to d6, knight takes, or bishop g5. All up to you. If queen b6 or something similar. You know, there are so many things that you can do in this type of Sicilian, you guys. Yes, our f2 pawn is under attack, but do you know that you can also take like that? The point is, if they take, now you have a mate in 2. There's nothing much they can do. Like, I mean, pep. Another possibility after knight takes is that black can actually take the pawn on f2, but here you can just play something like knight h5. You have that, you have this, say knight takes, because what else? Now you have knight f6 check, and if king h8, you simply go knight takes d5. This comes with an attack again. Who knows, maybe you might end up checkmating your opponent like that. All in all, when you're playing against the Taimanov Sicilian, you just need to allow your mind to be very sharp. Just try as much as possible to be very sharp. Think fast and never think of defending at any point. Now check this out, you guys. If you want to learn more about these kinds of tricks or similar opening ideas like the ones I just shared, you can watch this video that has popped up on the top left. Another video that I highly recommend you check out to skyrocket your rating is this one that has popped up on the top right. But if you love Gambit videos, you can check out the video that has popped up on the bottom left. And if you are a lover of chess traps like myself, feel free to click on the video that has popped up on the bottom right.